The bathroom door clicked shut. I heard the soft metallic sound of the lock turning, then the pipes groaned in the walls as the shower started. Water rushed through the lines, and a moment later the steady hiss of the shower filled the hallway. Within seconds, steam began slipping under the bathroom door and drifting slowly across the tile floor into the kitchen. My wife's phone sat on the kitchen counter where she had left it, the screen still glowing faintly in the dim light of the room. She had been glued to that phone all evening. Every few minutes it buzzed, and she would pick it up with that same little smile on her face, tilting the screen slightly away from me as she read whatever message had come in. I watched her thumbs move quickly, typing something, pausing, deleting it, typing again. At one point, I had asked what was so interesting. "Just work stuff," she said casually, barely looking up. But when she set the phone down to take her shower, she forgot one small detail. She forgot to lock it. I had never been the type to snoop. In 15 years of marriage, I had never once gone through her phone, never checked her messages, never searched through her emails. I always believed that if you needed to spy on your spouse, the relationship was already broken. But standing there in the quiet kitchen, listening to the water running behind the bathroom door, something twisted in my gut. It wasn't a loud thought. It wasn't anger. It was just a quiet instinct that something wasn't right. I walked slowly toward the counter. The phone was still awake, its screen lighting up the dark granite surface beneath it. One notification sat right at the top of the screen. "Brandon, can't wait to have you all to myself this weekend. He'll never know." For a moment, my brain refused to process the sentence. I stared at the message once, then again, then a third time, like maybe the words would rearrange themselves into something harmless if I kept looking. The shower kept running down the hall. The steady sound of water hitting tile filled the silence of the house. My hands suddenly felt cold, like all the blood had drained out of them. I didn't shout, I didn't throw the phone across the room, I didn't slam my fist into the wall like you see people do in movies. I simply unlocked the screen and opened her calendar. The entry was sitting there, exactly where the message suggested it would be. Girls' trip, Asheville, Fry, Sun. My chest felt tight, but my mind had gone strangely calm. I tapped into her messages, and that was when I saw everything. The shower continued running while I scrolled. 20 minutes later, the water finally shut off. By that time, I had already packed 2 suitcases and placed them neatly beside the front door. Then I sat down on the sofa with my hands folded calmly in my lap and waited. When she stepped out of the hallway, wrapped in her robe, her hair twisted up in a towel, she saw me first. Then her eyes moved to the suitcases sitting by the door. The color drained from her face immediately. "We need to talk," I said quietly, and in the silence that followed, her whole world began to collapse. If you want to know what I said when she tried to explain, hit subscribe, because what happened next wasn't a fight, it was an execution. My name is Daniel Cross. I'm 43 years old, and I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. For the past 15 years, I believed I had my life figured out. I had a stable career as a senior systems analyst at a mid-sized tech company. We lived in a comfortable house on a quiet suburban street where the neighbors waved when they walked their dogs in the evenings. And I had a wife I had known since college. Our life wasn't flashy or dramatic. We weren't the kind of couple who constantly posted pictures of each other online or wrote long anniversary tributes on social media. We didn't perform our relationship for the internet. We just lived it quietly. At least that's what I thought we were doing. Claire worked as a project manager at a marketing agency downtown. She was incredibly organized, the kind of person who color-coded every meeting and deadline in her digital calendar and somehow never forgot a single appointment. She had a sharp mind and a natural confidence that made people listen when she spoke in meetings. And she was beautiful in a way that always seemed effortless. She didn't actually need makeup to turn heads, but she wore it anyway, more out of habit than necessity. We met years ago at UNC Chapel Hill. She was studying communications and public relations while I was buried deep in computer science classes, surviving on ramen noodles and caffeine. In many ways, we were opposites. Claire was social and outgoing, always surrounded by friends and weekend plans. I was the quieter one, the guy who preferred staying home with a book, a game, or a long documentary about technology. And somehow, those differences balanced each other out. At least for a long time they did.
Over 15 years together, we built routines that slowly became the structure of our lives. Friday nights meant dinner at the same little Italian restaurant down the street where the owner greeted us by name. Sunday mornings meant walking through the local farmer's market and buying fresh fruit we would forget to eat by Wednesday. Weeknights often ended with us sitting on the couch, scrolling through streaming services, arguing about what to watch before eventually giving up and rewatching episodes of The Office for the 100th time. It wasn't some passionate whirlwind romance anymore. It was something calmer, predictable, steady. And I had always believed steady was enough. Looking back now, the warning signs had been there long before that night in the kitchen. I just refused to see them.
Everything really started changing about 6 months earlier. Claire landed a new client at work. It was a big account, one of the largest her agency had handled in years. She was excited in a way I hadn't seen before. Over dinner, she talked about the opportunity constantly. "This could be huge for my career," she told me one evening while we sat across from each other at the kitchen table. "If this campaign works out the way they expect, I could be looking at a promotion, maybe even a VP track down the road." "That's great," I said honestly, and I meant it. Claire had always been hardworking and ambitious. She deserved success. But along with that new project came the late nights. "Client dinner," she'd text me from downtown. "Don't wait up." Strategy meeting ran late. Grabbing drinks with the team after work. "Brandon wants to go over the deck one more time before the presentation." Brandon. At first, it was just a name mentioned in passing, but slowly it began showing up in more and more of her stories. "Brandon thinks we should pivot the messaging." "Brandon found this amazing new restaurant." "Brandon says the client really likes my ideas." "Brandon this, Brandon that." I didn't think much of it initially. People talk about coworkers all the time. But eventually I noticed something subtle. The way she smiled when she said his name was different. Around that same time, the phone habits changed. For years, Claire had been completely relaxed about her phone. She left it lying around the house without thinking twice. Sometimes notifications would pop up while we were sitting together and she'd read them out loud. But suddenly, it was always face down, always within reach. If a message came in, she would grab the phone quickly and angle the screen away from me before replying. "Who's that?" I asked once casually. "Just work," she answered without looking up. One night, we were watching a movie together on the couch when her phone buzzed beside her. She glanced down at the message and smiled. Not a polite smile, a genuine one, the kind she used to give me during the early years of our relationship. "What's funny?" I asked. "Nothing," she said quickly, "just a meme from the group chat." But she didn't show it to me. She used to show me everything. Then came the girls' trip. Claire had taken trips with her college friends before, so the idea itself wasn't unusual. Once or twice a year, a group of them would meet somewhere for a long weekend. I had never questioned it, but this one felt different. "Asheville," she said one morning while adding it to the kitchen calendar. "Long weekend. Jen is organizing it." "Sounds fun," I replied. 2 weeks from now, Friday through Sunday." I nodded. "Cool. I'll probably just catch up on some gaming while you're gone." She smiled at that. "You'll survive without me for 3 days." I laughed and said I probably would. But something about the situation kept bothering me. She seemed too excited, too distracted. She bought several new outfits specifically for the trip. She got her hair done. The night before she was supposed to leave, she spent nearly an hour carefully packing for what was supposed to be a simple 2-night trip. "It's just Asheville," I said jokingly, as I watched her fold a dress I had never seen before. "You're not flying to Paris." She stopped and looked at me defensively. "I want to look nice," she said. "Is that a crime?" "No," I said quickly. "Just seems like a lot of preparation for a girls' weekend." She zipped the suitcase and shrugged. "You wouldn't understand." That was the end of that conversation, but the strange feeling never went away. The night before she was scheduled to leave, we ate dinner together at home. Claire spent most of the meal staring down at her phone, smiling at something on the screen and typing quick responses. "Everything okay?" I asked while clearing the dishes. "Yeah," she said without looking up. "Just coordinating plans with the girls." But the phone was angled away from me again. After dinner, she stretched and said she was going to shower. "Long day tomorrow. I want to get to bed early."
She picked up her phone as she walked toward the bathroom, then paused halfway down the hallway. "Can you pour me a glass of wine? I'll have it after my shower." "Sure," I said. She set the phone on the kitchen counter without thinking and disappeared into the bathroom. I heard the door close, then the soft click of the lock. A moment later, the water started running, and I stood there staring at the phone. It was still unlocked. The screen glowed softly in the dim kitchen light. I've never been a jealous person. I've never believed in invading someone's privacy. But that night, something deep inside me told me to look. So I picked up the phone. The screen brightened, and there, at the top of the notifications, was the message. "Brandon, can't wait to have you all to myself this weekend. He'll never know." My stomach dropped. I read the words again and again. The shower continued running down the hall as if nothing in the world had changed. My hands started to shake slightly as I opened the message thread. The conversation went back months. At the beginning, the messages looked completely professional. Work strategy, client notes, meeting reminders. Slowly, the tone began to shift. "Brandon, you killed that presentation today. Claire, couldn't have done it without you. Brandon, drinks to celebrate? Claire, absolutely." Then the messages turned personal. "Brandon, I can't stop thinking about last night." Claire, "Me neither. We have to be more careful." Brandon, "When can I see you again?" Claire, "Soon. I'll figure something out." I kept scrolling faster and faster. There were pictures too. Nothing explicit, but intimate enough to tell the story clearly. A picture of her in a dress I had never seen. A picture of them together with his arm around her shoulders. A hotel room. A bottle of wine sitting on a table with 2 glasses beside it.
Claire wrote, "This is dangerous." Brandon replied, "I don't care. You're worth it." Eventually, I reached the messages about Asheville. Brandon told my wife I have a work conference, booked us a cabin outside the city. Claire responded, "Perfect. I told Daniel it's a girls' trip." Brandon, 3 days, just us. Claire, "I can't wait." The shower was still running. I slowly set the phone back down on the counter. For a moment, I just stood there staring at it while the silence of the kitchen wrapped around me. Then something inside me clicked into place. I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to act. I opened her calendar and confirmed the trip. Girls' trip. Asheville. Fry to Sun. Then I opened her email and quickly found the Airbnb confirmation. It wasn't a group booking. It was a private cabin. 2 guests. I took screenshots of everything and sent them to my own email address. Then I deleted the sent messages so she wouldn't see them later. After that, I walked into the bedroom and pulled 2 suitcases from the closet. I started packing her clothes, dresses, shoes, her makeup bag, toiletries from the bathroom drawer, everything she might need. I worked quickly and methodically. The shower shut off. I zipped the suitcases and carried them to the front door, placing them neatly side by side. Then I sat down on the sofa with my hands folded and waited. A moment later, the bathroom door opened. Claire stepped into the hallway wearing her robe, her hair wrapped up in a towel. She was humming softly to herself. She saw me first. Then she noticed the suitcases by the door. Her expression changed immediately. The color drained from her face and her eyes widened. "Daniel?" I stayed seated. "We need to talk." She looked from me to the bags and back again. "What are those?" "Your things." "Why are they?" "Because you're leaving." The hallway went silent. She stood there frozen while water dripped slowly from her hair onto the hardwood floor. "I don't understand." I picked up her phone from the coffee table and held it up. "You left this unlocked." Her eyes locked onto the phone instantly. Her expression shifted from confusion to fear in less than a second. "Daniel, I don't..." My voice stayed calm. "I read everything." She started crying almost immediately. Not the messy, desperate kind of crying, the softer, controlled kind that almost looked rehearsed.
Daniel, please let me explain. Explain what? I asked quietly. That you've been sleeping with Brandon for 6 months? That you were planning to spend the weekend with him while I thought my marriage was fine? It's not what it looks like. I stood up slowly. Not what it looks like? Because it looks like my wife has been lying to me for half a year. She stepped toward me nervously. I made a mistake. A mistake is forgetting to buy milk from the store, I said. This was a decision, one you made every single day for 6 months. Her hands trembled. I never meant for it to happen. But it did. Daniel, please, we can fix this. I shook my head. No, we can't. Don't say that. We've been together 15 years. And you threw it away for a guy named Brandon. She tried another approach quickly. I'll end it right now. I'll call him and tell him it's over. I don't care. Daniel, I love you. No, you don't. That stopped her completely. If you loved me, I said quietly, you wouldn't have done this. You wouldn't have lied to my face. You wouldn't have planned a romantic weekend with another man while I sat here thinking my marriage was fine. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. I packed your bags, I continued. You can stay at a hotel tonight or with Brandon. I honestly don't care, but you're not staying here. This is my house too. Not anymore. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a folded document and handed it to her. What is this? Divorce papers. I'm filing tomorrow. Her hands shook as she unfolded it. You can't be serious. I've never been more serious in my life. She tried to argue, tried to guilt me, tried to make it my fault. You were always working. You never paid attention to me. I felt invisible. I let her talk. When she was done, I said one thing. None of that is an excuse. She stared at me. You felt invisible. You could have talked to me. You could have told me you were unhappy. You could have asked for counseling. I stepped closer. Instead, you lied. You snuck around. You built a whole second life behind my back. Daniel, I would have fought for us, I said quietly, if you'd given me the chance. But you didn't. You chose him. I pointed to the door. So go be with him. She stood there for a long moment, tears streaming down her face. Then she picked up her phone, walked to the bedroom, came back dressed. She grabbed the suitcases. At the door, she turned. I'm sorry. I know, but sorry doesn't fix this. She opened the door, stepped out into the night, and I closed it behind her. The lock clicked. The house went silent. I stood there for a moment, staring at the door. Then I walked to the kitchen, poured myself a drink, and sat back down on the sofa. My phone buzzed. A text from my brother. You okay? I'd sent him the screenshots an hour ago, told him what I was about to do. I typed back, yeah, I'm good. And I was. The next morning, I called a lawyer. Her name was Rebecca Hole. She came highly recommended. I walked into her office with a folder full of screenshots, emails, and a timeline I'd written out at 3 a.m. when I couldn't sleep. She reviewed everything, didn't say much. When she was done, she looked up. This is pretty clear-cut. Good. North Carolina allows for fault-based divorce. Adultery is grounds. With this evidence, you're in a strong position. What does that mean? It means she's not getting alimony, and depending on how assets are divided, you'll likely come out ahead. I nodded.
I don't care about coming out ahead. I just want it done. Understood. She made a few notes. I'll file today. She'll be served within the week. Thank you. As I stood to leave, she added, for what it's worth, you did the right thing. Doesn't feel like it yet. It will. Claire was served 3 days later. She called me 17 times that day. I didn't answer. She texted, we need to talk. I replied, talk to my lawyer.
"Daniel, please don't do this." I blocked her number. Over the next few weeks, I learned things I wish I didn't. Her lawyer tried to argue that I had abandoned her by kicking her out. Rebecca shut that down fast. He didn't abandon her. He removed an adulterous spouse from the marital home. Big difference. They tried to claim I was controlling and financially abusive. Rebecca showed the bank records. Joint account, equal access, no restrictions. They tried to say the affair was a brief lapse in judgment. Rebecca presented the timeline. 6 months, dozens of hotel visits, a planned weekend getaway. Every angle they tried, Rebecca blocked. "They're grasping," she told me during one of our calls. "They have no case." Good. The hardest part wasn't the legal stuff. It was the quiet. The house felt too big, too empty. I'd come home from work and there'd be no one there. No dinner cooking, no TV on in the background, just silence. I threw myself into work, picked up extra projects, stayed late, anything to avoid going home to an empty house. My brother Marcus checked in regularly. "You doing okay?" "Yeah." Liar. He'd come over with beer and pizza. We'd watch games. He didn't push me to talk, just sat there, present. That helped more than he knew. 2 months after I kicked her out, Claire showed up at the house. I was in the garage working on my car when I heard the doorbell. I opened the door. She stood there, looking smaller than I remembered. "What do you want?" "I wanted to see you, to talk. We have lawyers for that." "Daniel, please, just 5 minutes." Against my better judgment, I let her in. We stood in the living room, the same room where I'd packed her bags. "I made a mistake, a huge mistake. I know that now." I didn't respond. "I ended things with Brandon. It's over. I want to fix this." "There's nothing to fix. We've been together 15 years, and you destroyed it in 6 months. She wiped her eyes. I know I did, but people make mistakes. We can get past this." "No," I said, "we can't." "Why not?" "Because I don't trust you." That hit her. "I could forgive the affair," I continued eventually, "but I can't forgive the lying, the planning, the fact that you looked me in the eye every day and lied." "I'm sorry." "I know you are, but sorry doesn't rebuild trust, and without trust, we have nothing." She started crying. "So that's it? 15 years, and you're just done?" "You were done 6 months ago," I said. "I'm just catching up." She left. I closed the door and felt nothing. Not relief, not sadness, just empty. The divorce was finalized 4 months later. Claire got her car, her retirement account, some furniture. I kept the house, my retirement, most of the savings. No alimony, no drawn-out battle, just done. Rebecca called me when the papers were signed. "Congratulations, you're officially single." "Thanks. How do you feel?" I thought about it. Lighter. Good. That's good. 6 months after the divorce, I was at a coffee shop near my office. I was waiting for my order when someone tapped my shoulder. "Daniel." I turned. A woman stood there, mid-30s, dark hair, warm smile. "It's me, Rachel from UNC." It took me a second. Then I remembered. Rachel Kim. We'd had a few classes together, study group. She was funny, smart, always had the best notes. "Rachel, wow, hi." "Hi," she smiled. "It's been forever." "Yeah, 15 years maybe, at least." She glanced at the counter. "You waiting for coffee?" "Yeah, me too. Want to sit for a minute?" We grabbed a table by the window. Caught up. She was a graphic designer now, freelance, lived in Charlotte. "What about you?" she asked. "Still doing the tech thing?" "Yeah, systems analyst." "Nice. You married? Kids?" I hesitated. "Divorced, actually, recently." "Oh, I'm sorry." "Don't be. It was the right call." She nodded. "I get that. I went through one a few years ago. It's rough." "Yeah." We talked for an hour. Easy conversation. No pressure. When we stood to leave, she handed me her card. "If you ever want to grab coffee again, let me know." I looked at the card, then at her. "I'd like that." She smiled. "Good." Rachel and I started meeting for coffee once a week, then twice a week, then dinners. She didn't ask about Claire, didn't push me to talk about the divorce. She just existed in my life easily, naturally. One night we were walking through Freedom Park after dinner. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Sure."
"Are you okay? Like, really okay?" I thought about it. "Yeah, I think I am." "Good," she smiled. "You deserve to be." We walked in silence for a bit. Then she said, "You know, when I went through my divorce, I thought I'd never trust anyone again." Yeah. But then I realized something. The right person doesn't make you question trust. They make it easy. I looked at her. "Is that what this is?" "I don't know," she said honestly. "But it feels easy, doesn't it?" It did. A year after the divorce, I sold the house. Too many memories, too much weight. I bought a smaller place, a condo downtown. Clean slate. Rachel helped me move in. We spent the day unpacking boxes, ordering pizza, laughing at my terrible decorating choices. "You can't put a TV on the floor," she said. "Why not?" "Because you're not in college anymore." Fair. That night we sat on the balcony looking out at the city. "This is nice," she said. "Yeah, it is." She looked at me. "You're different than you were a year ago." "How so?" "Lighter, like you're not carrying something heavy anymore." She was right. For the first time in a long time, I felt free. Claire texted me once, about a year and a half after the divorce. "I heard you're seeing someone. I'm happy for you." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed, "Thanks." And that was it. No anger, no bitterness, just closure. Looking back, I don't regret how I handled it. I didn't yell, didn't try to fight for someone who had already left. I just acted, packed her bags, filed the papers, moved on. Some people called me cold, said I gave up too easily. But here's the thing. I didn't give up. I let go. There's a difference. Giving up is quitting when things get hard. Letting go is recognizing when something is already over. And my marriage was over the moment she sent that first text to Brandon. I just didn't know it yet. If you've ever been betrayed, if you've ever had your trust shattered, if you've ever had to choose between fighting for someone who's already gone or walking away with your dignity, this one's for you. You don't owe anyone a second chance who didn't value the first one. You don't owe anyone forgiveness who isn't truly sorry. And you sure as hell don't owe anyone your peace. Hit subscribe if this resonated. Comment, "I let go," if you've been there. Because the strongest thing you can do isn't holding on. It's knowing when to walk.